I don't know where it is, on anti-Semitism. Well, it's all right. I think I know what I wrote. You know, we have been charged with this, and I really want to state here for the press and for the world that I denounce anti-Semitism in all its forms and manifestations. I denounce racism in all its forms and manifestations. If I believed that I were an anti-Semite, meaning somebody who hates somebody else simply because of their faith, I would be unfit to call myself a servant of God or a member of the righteous. I am not now, nor have I ever been anti-Semitic. Now, what is the definition, the true definition of that word? Well, we know that anti means against, and Semite is referring to those persons who originated in the Middle Eastern area of the world that have a base in African, Asian language and culture. Among these are Jews, or Hebrews, Arabs, the Phoenicians, all of that group in there. The languages are Aramaic, Hebrew, Arabic, and one or two more. These are the Semitic people. Now, the ADL has narrowed that definition to mean exclusively anti-Jewish. Now, to be a Jew, is it a race or is it a faith? But there are those who see it as a national identity that does not have anything to do with faith. Now, in Israel today, there are several kinds of Jews. There are the Falasha Jews, the Sephardic Jews, the Ashkenazi Jews, all of whom are bound by the common denominator of faith. But race has come in there to play a negative role because the Sephardic Jews and the Falasha Jews are not really equal in sharing power in Israel. So now when you talk about anti-Semitic, according to the definition, if I were against that body of people, I might find myself against myself. So now I must ask the question, why do they use that term? For what purpose? The ADL and other Zionists use the term to stifle legitimate criticism of Zionism and the state of Israel and the Zionist policies of the state of Israel. They also use that term to stifle legitimate criticism of the errant behavior of Jewish people vis-a-vis their relationship with the non-Jewish population of the world. This is not right. The Jews cannot be held above criticism. And if a prophet is to point out your wrong, don't accuse the prophet of being anti-Semitic when the prophet's role is to change your behavior to make you more acceptable to God. And this is why the prophets were killed and beaten and imprisoned. And this is why many of us are suffering from a false charge, anti-Semitism. Now, whenever the ADL and the Zionists feel that somebody is not bowing to their will, they drop that on, anti-Semite. Now, Medigit has done everything to please Jewish people except just go on outright and say, I've changed my faith. But he was accused of being anti-Semite. Mayor Tom Bradley had a magnificent relationship with Jews in the city of Los Angeles for 20 years, but when he didn't do what they wanted him to do in denouncing me, as quickly as they thought he should, they charged him with being anti-Semitic. And because Nelson Mandela visited Libya and Arafat, if you recall, Mr. Kabul wanted Mr. Mandela to say something negative against those persons, which he said he could not do. And some have called Nelson Mandela anti-Semitic. They've called Jesse Jackson anti-Semitic. They've called Percy Sutton anti-Semitic. They've called Andrew Young anti-Semitic. These brothers are not anti-Semitic. And if they have legitimate criticism of Jews and their relationship with black people, why can't you accept the criticism? And then see if it's true, and then correct yourselves. But to say, ooh, look at this, they hate Jews. They hate us all. This is a bold lie. And it's wicked at the core. Lastly, even President Bush and members of his cabinet were called anti-Semitic because they were acting too slow on a $10 billion loan or gift to the state of Israel. So I'm saying to you, there's an old saying that I heard. It used to be that an anti-Semite was one who disliked Jews. Now anti-Semite is anyone the Jews dislike. Thank you, and may God bless all of you as I greet you in peace. Assalamu alaikum.